Hey everybody, it's Chris Bumber here again for JoeBlow.com from the Toronto International Film Festival with a review of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood starring Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers. In this, an investigative reporter played by Matthew Rice of The Americans is assigned a 400-word puff piece on the beloved children's TV host Fred Rogers. Bent on getting behind his cheery facade, he's thrown for a loop when Rogers takes a personal interest in his well-being and tries to help him heal some old wounds. Now, it's always been hard for us as a culture to accept that Mr. Rogers was for real. He always seemed too perfect, and there were always loads of rumors about him, all of which turned out, of course, to be completely untrue. The reason for this was his utter sincerity, something we're not accustomed to and have a hard time accepting. We live in a cynical era, and in a cynical era, a guy like Fred Rogers seems odd to us. This makes A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood a smart way to tackle the character on the big screen by framing the story through the eyes of an audience surrogate, in this case Esquire writer Lloyd Vogel, who simply can't believe anyone could be this perfect. Thus, Marielle Heller's movie is the perfect way into the phenomenon of Mr. Rogers, even if some will be disappointed that this isn't a straightforward biopic and that the beloved host is only a supporting character. For me though, in some ways, this makes the film feel almost like a movie version of an episode of his show, albeit for adults, with the ultimate lesson being that hate and resentment are toxic and need to be let go in order for us to lead a happy life. It's a lesson we could all do well to learn, and if you're going to learn a lesson, Mr. Rogers is the one to teach you. Of course, Fred Rogers died 16 years ago, but Tom Hanks is pretty uncanny in the part, expertly nailing his cadence and manner. No one plays gentle and kind like Tom Hanks, and it was wise of them to choose one beloved American icon to play another. Hanks commits wholeheartedly to the part, never playing Rogers as a kind of caricature. Instead, he's portrayed in a reverent, respectful manner that will be comforting to all who grew up with him. He even nails the puppet characters, King Friday and of course the beloved Daniel. This version of Mr. Rogers really is for real, and they pay him a lovely tribute. Matthew Rice is also effective as the cynical journalists sent out to interview him, with him struggling with unresolved issues of his own with a drunken absentee parent, his father, played by Chris Cooper, something which affects his relationship with his new wife and child. And Rice, after years of playing Haunted on The Americans, has this kind of roll down cold, and most importantly, has excellent chemistry with Hanks. Heller, who also directed The Diary of a Teenage Girl and Can You Ever Forgive Me, makes some interesting stylistic choices, such as shooting the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood segments on video in 1:3:3:1, recreating what they looked like on PBS, and doing many of the establishing shots as if you're watching them on the show, with toy trolleys and plane effects. It's unconventional, but it really adds to the idea of this being a Mr. Rogers episode for grown-ups. Now, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood does a good job conveying the heart and soul of Fred Rogers without giving us a beat-by-beat depiction of his career, which was done a year ago with the excellent documentary Won't You Be My Neighbor. Instead, this is more like a Mr. Rogers fable, showing us how he was more than just a kid's icon, and that the lesson he taught us as children still means something to us now that we're grown up. For JoeBlow.com, I give this one a strong 8 on 10.
Love broken people like me.
Sometimes we have to ask for help, and that's okay. I think the best thing we can do is to let people know that each one of them is precious.